Hello and welcome back to Your Body Moving. So we're going to get into the series of yoga classes. This is the first video if you want to play it in sequence. So let's get started. So if you don't have access to any props, that's fine. We can generally work without them or make a plan, or you can grab, if you've got a really nice thick book instead of a yoga block. The one thing I do recommend you have is a towel. So it's just a nice beach towel. If you do have any knee issues, like I do, I will offer some variations that you can do. And I will try to keep in mind people with certain movement restrictions. Okay. If you have very tight hips and sitting on the ground like this is very uncomfortable for you, you want to elevate your hips slightly so you decrease this angle between the thigh and the pelvis. So you can do that by just taking your towel, or you can use blocks as well, and just rolling it up and then placing it underneath you and sitting on it, just decreasing that angle. Now, as far as the way that you're sitting, you can sit with your legs crossed, or with your legs in half lotus, or in full lotus, or one leg in front of the other. I cannot sit in half or full lotus. I do not have full flexion in my knee. So this is the way that I need to sit. So sit the way that suits. It really is about you and about your practice and about doing what's best for you. So I want you to sit up nice and straight. I want you to feel those two sits bones, those ischial tuberosities, really digging into the ground. So you can kind of reach your hand behind and just move the flesh out slightly so that your bones, your sit bones, are grounding into the mat. And then coming up the body, that abdomen is engaged so that you're not slouching down. You're drawing up out of the pelvis, supporting your spine with your core, shoulders back and down as usual, and then hands on the knee. Palms down, more sort of grounding, palms facing up, receiving energy from above. So whatever feels best to you. And close the eyes. So I want you to feel a length up the back of the neck as if the crown is drawing up towards the ceiling. And begin to breathe into the belly, those lovely deep belly breaths. Feeling the belly expand as you inhale and deflate as you exhale. That belly button moving away from the spine and then closing back towards it. Bringing your focus to your breath now. So as we inhale and that belly expands, we create space for the diaphragm to contract and move downward, which makes space in the chest cavity for the lungs to inflate and fill with air. And as we exhale and move that belly button back towards the spine, the diaphragm relaxes, moves back upwards into the chest, and the lungs deflate and empty. So we always take this time before we begin our practice to ready our minds to connect with the breath. And to set our intentions. As we make that connection with the breath, we set the intention to keep this connection with the breath throughout our practice, to move with the breath, And perhaps we set the intention to be present throughout our practice. To focus on everything that we're doing. Forgetting about everything that's happened today. Letting that go. And not worrying about what it is that we have to do for the rest of the day. Taking this time for ourselves. Feeling that mind beginning to slow down. Breathing. And now begin just to cast your mind over your body as you sit here. From the feet, working all the way up through the limbs and the torso, down the arms, up the neck and the head. And notice if there are any areas where you perhaps are feeling any tension or tightness. And just observe. We always observe without judgment, accepting that where we are is exactly where we need to be. Remembering that our ego has no place in our yoga practice. We let go of that ego as soon as we sit down onto the mat. And we remind ourselves too that there is no perfect pose in yoga. And now we slowly open our eyes and prepare to begin our practice today. So inhaling with that nice long back. Exhale as you slowly walk the fingers forward away from us, keeping the shoulders down and away from the ears. Keeping the chest open, not worrying how far down we come. Just feeling this lovely stretch on the outside of the hips as we come forward. Breathing. Inhale as we walk the hands back to the body, sitting up nice and straight. And now we change the cross of our legs. So whichever leg was underneath or behind now comes in front or on the top. And inhale with a nice flat back. Exhale, walking those hands forward along the floor, away from you, keeping the shoulders away from the ears, chest open, breathing. So this will be your more uncomfortable side. We naturally sit in a position that's most comfortable to us. We generally have one side which is more mobile, more flexible than the other side. So breathe into that hip, remembering that where the breath goes, energy flows. Sending that energy to that part of the body. Breathing into the stretch, don't hold the breath. Inhale as we come upright. And now we will move into the feet. From the seated position, we're going to stretch out the feet. So I'm using my daughter here to demonstrate because I cannot kneel with my knee directly onto the ground. It's too painful and I just don't have the flexion. I will show you the alternative. So coming onto your knees now and engaging the toes. Sitting back onto those heels, sitting up nice and tall, breathing deep into the belly. It stretches out all the fascia that run along the sole of the foot. This is not the most pleasant of experiences. Breathe into the belly, and people are normally cursing at me in their minds when they do this. Breathing, stretching out the feet. If you do have issues with your knees like me, just sit and grab the toes with the hands and just begin stretching the feet out with your hands. It's not as effective, but it will definitely help. So after about 4 or 5 breaths, come forward onto the hand, release the toes. Sit back onto the heels. And now stretching out the front part of the foot. And you're actually stretching out along the tibia. So if you are somebody who suffers from shin splints, this is a lovely stretch to do. Stretching out along the front of the shin. And then coming back up, engage your toes. Sitting up onto your heels. Nice straight back, breathing into the belly. Inhale. Exhale, try to relax through the shoulders. Bring that breath down to the belly. And really focus on the breath. Focus on the breath. Breathing. Don't allow that breath to become shallow because you are in discomfort. Through the nose. Inhale. Exhaling through the nose. You can bring in your Ujjayi breath here if you like. It helps us to get through these sort of tough times. Inhale, come forward. Release those toes. Sit back. Let's stretch out through the front of the feet along the tibia. Again, if you're doing the alternative, just really pulling those toes back, stretching out the bottom of your feet. Inhale, come forwards. One last time, engage those toes. Sit back up onto those heels, nice tall, breathing into the belly, in and out of the nose. In and out of the nose. Good. Into the belly, sending that breath to the feet. Your feet will thank you afterwards, even though they're not thanking you right now. Breathing. Try not to become tense and let this body shift forward with the weight shifting forward. Try and sit up nice and straight. Relax those shoulders. Relax the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. Inhale, come forwards. Release the toes. Sit back. Count to stretch. Tops of the feet. Very nice. Breathing. Good. Excellent. Thank you very much. From your kneeling or seated position, you're going to come forward onto your hands and knees. If, like me, you have issues with your knees, here's where your towel comes in again to make it into sort of a nice pad. Place that on the mat. Now, I cannot put any pressure directly on the knee, so I place this just slightly beneath the knee, which helps. It's just at the top of the shin. And then coming forward into nice tabletop position. So let's look at our alignment. Fingers are nice and splayed. We're pressing down into the thumb and forefinger, rotating the forearms inward, the upper arms outward so that the shoulders are rolled in their socket. Shoulder blades are nice and flat. Engage those toes so that the feet are working. We're going to now do a series of cat-cow pose. So inhale, dropping from the belly button all the way through to the top of the spine, opening the chest, facing up. Exhale, dropping the face first, curling up through the spine between the shoulder blades, belly button to spine, and the tailbone pointing straight down towards the mat. Exhaling. Inhaling, curling from base of the spine all the way through to the chest, opening the face. Exhaling, rolling down from the head up through the spine. Just getting some nice movement through the spine here. Exhaling, emptying the lungs. Inhaling. And gently just warming it up and just working through a few kinks. Exhaling, dropping through the face. So carry on, following the rhythm of your own breath. Inhaling. Exhaling, coming into cat. One last round. Inhaling. Exhaling. Before coming back to a nice neutral spine. back nice and flat. Very nice. So we're just going to come into a slight downward dog and dynamic downward dog. So we take our hands, one hand's width or one hand's length away from us. So taking that heel of the hand and placing it where the end of your middle finger was, engaging those toes, rolling those shoulders back, and lifting those hips up high. Keep those legs nice and bent. We're pushing the mat away from us with the hands, and just begin a very slow, controlled pedaling motion with the heels. I don't want any static stretching now. The body is not warm yet. We're just trying to get some movement and getting those muscles just to change in length. Remembering to keep that belly button pulled back towards the spine, pushing the mat away from us, keeping the chest open, the shoulders away from the ears, and the head hanging straight down. And then bring the gaze up, and we're going to walk feet up to the top of the mat, keeping the knees bent, and come up to standing using those glutes. So standing at the top of the mat, we're going to come into our warm-up series of sun salutations. I'll link a card to that video if you haven't seen it. Establishing ourselves in a nice strong Samastitihi from the toes. Pressing those big toes into the ground, lifting all the other toes, spreading them out as wide as you can and placing them on the mat. Pressing down with that big toe so that the arch of the foot is engaged. Working your way up the legs, engaging those quadriceps, feel those kneecaps raising up. Engage those glutes. Pull that belly button back towards the spine. Shoulders are back. Shoulder blades are flat against the back. Arms are straight down. If you feel as if your bottom ribs are poking out, just draw them back. It's a very, very tiny little movement. Back of the neck is nice and long, so we're not poking that chin out. And the crown of the head is drawing up towards the ceiling, extending those fingers, closing the eyes. Notice how the body feels. Feel that heat beginning to rise in the body. That energy coursing through the bodies. That energy coursing through the body. You might be able to feel that energy flowing. All the meridians in the body begin and end in the hands and the feet. Breathing into the belly. And open the eyes. Inhale, arms up above the head, gaze between the hands. Shoulders down. Exhale, folding forward, dropping the head. Inhale, flatten that spine. Exhale, stepping back into plank. Chaturanga, keeping those elbows in, releasing. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog, keeping those knees soft. Gaze up between the hands, walking the feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, flattening the spine. Exhale, fold, squeeze the glutes. Inhale as you unfold the body, exhaling in prayer. Again, inhale, arms up, gaze between the hands, shoulders down. Exhale, flat back, dropping the head. Inhale, flatten that spine. Exhale, back into plank, chaturanga, elbows in, chest hits the ground first, release. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Gaze up between the hands, walking the feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, flatten the back. Exhale, fold. Squeeze the glutes. Inhale to standing. Exhaling in prayer, dropping the hands. Inhale, arms up, gaze between the hands. Exhale, forward fold. Drop the head. Inhale, flatten the spine. Exhale, back into plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Elbows in, release. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog, hips nice and high. Gaze up between the hands, walking the feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, flatten that spine. Exhale, fold, squeeze the glutes. Unfolding the body, exhaling in prayer. Arms to the sides, very nice. Again, arms up. Gaze between the hands. Exhale, forward fold. Dropping the head. Inhale, flattening the spine. Exhale, back into plank. Chaturanga Dandasana, elbows in, release. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Gaze up between the hands, walk the feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale, flatten the spine. Exhale, fold. Squeeze the glutes. Inhale to standing. Exhaling in prayer. And releasing the hands. Very nice. We're now warmed up and we can move into the rest of our yoga class. Grab some water before we carry on.